program. Let's go to our very special guest. Joining us right now, however, is Dr. James Hutchins. He's Ph.D., president of the Jerusalem Connection, the foremost Christian online magazine, Zionist magazine in America. He's also a decorated U.S. Army chaplain. Dr. Hutchins, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Good to be with you.
Glad to have you with us. We've had this latest round of quote-unquote Middle East peace talks, and it just seems one right after another, and each presidency, Democrat or Republican alike, seem to try to make their mark, try to have in history that they're the ones that are going to be bringing peace to Israel and to the Middle East. But isn't this just an act of futility?
I think it is, Chuck. I think this is just another step in this diplomatic dance that each president has gone through. This president seems preoccupied with it. I mean, his second day in office, he sent Senator George Mitchell over there as a special envoy to make this happen. But I think you have to recognize, you have to take the Palestinians at their word. Fatah, the PLO, Hamas, Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade, all of these people have in their charter documents that a Palestinian state would require the elimination of Israel. Mahmoud Abbas, who's the president of the Palestinians, has said if there is not a continuation of the settlement freeze, then the talks are off. He has said that there is no way that we're going to acknowledge Israel as a Jewish state. They want to be recognized as a Palestinian state, but they don't want to recognize Israel as a Jewish state. So these are non-starters, and I think that I think it is an exercise of futility. My own sense is that there is not a diplomatic or political solution to this. I think there's only a military solution, and I think that, and that's not to say that there has to be, you nuke them till they glow in the dark. But that is to say that Israel has the capacity to go into Gaza, which is 25 miles long and at max 9 miles wide, and that they can neutralize and dismantle Hamas infrastructure, and then they contain them. But there's not going to be peace between two states, between a Palestinian and an Israeli state. There is such a visceral anti-Semitism that's been flamed and fueled over the years that there is no political solution, in my view. And I think the same thing could be said of Hezbollah in the north. Israel has the capacity to do that.
Now let me play devil's advocate here for just a second, because there's going to be a lot of folks. I mean, obviously we get Islam that they're on the full court press that, hey, we're the religion of peace. We're the religion of peace. We're not, don't pay attention that we've had 226 terrorist attacks upon our own people and killed over 1,028 people during Ramadan, our high holy month. But we're the religion of peace, and it's these Christians that are being intolerant. I mean, you just said yourself that this is going to take a military option, that you're just intolerant. What do you say to that?
I say that's the only option that they'll ever understand. That's the Arab understands force. It understands superior force. You don't make peace before there is a decisive victory on the ground. We wouldn't have gone to Japan or Germany prior to the end of the Second World War and say, look, let's sit down at the table here and see what a peace agreement would look like. No, they were defeated on the ground, and then you make peace. We've got the cart before the horse, and it will never work. It's an exercise in futility. Land for Peace is a demonstrated failed process. And I think we just continue to perpetuate this failure in trying to make this happen. But as you say, every American president has wanted to have that as the feather in his cap, that he brought peace to the Middle East. But the only peace that will be there is when Israel can contain those who want to destroy them. And basically that's the immediate neighbors, Hamas in the south, in Gaza, Hezbollah in the north, and Lebanon, and of course Iran. And
well, just here in the last week, Israeli troops had movement on the border by the Lebanese army, the Lebanese armed forces, I believe they're called. The Israelis basically fired over their heads as a warning shot, saying, "Okay, now guys, back off." That would not typically be what you'd see take place by the Palestinians or the Lebanese Defense Forces, or whatever they're calling them, the Lebanese Armed Forces, I believe it is. And just this last week, we've got the Obama administration and some Democrats on Capitol Hill that are trying to get $100 million of the military paraphernalia that had previously been struck down by Congress reinstated and shipped over to Lebanon to, quote-unquote, stabilize the situation. Now, what do you say to that?
I say that that's an incredible folly. I think that Israel will always have the avant-garde as far as military technology is concerned. But this just increases Hezbollah's capability. Anything that goes to Lebanon is going to go to Hezbollah. And to say that that's not going to happen is just it's living in a bubble.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what will happen, and it's just unconscionable that this would be allowed to happen. The one silver lining in all this, as far as I can see, is that Congress, by and large, I mean, there's exceptions to it, but the vast majority of Congress is in support of Israel. Now, when I say in support of Israel, they're in support of a two-state solution, probably the evacuation and dislocation of what would amount to be a 250,000 people out of the West Bank, Judea and Samaria.
Mm-hmm.
They are supportive of Israel in that sense. But there's got to be a game changer in there in here at some point, because the perpetuation of the past is guaranteed to get the future, get the results that we've got in the past.
Well,
you know, that's what's Einstein's definition of insanity. Continue to do the same thing, expecting different results. Well, it's insane to do this.
Well, Dr. Hudgens, let me ask you this: we've got a lot of folks out here who, well, they have, for lack of a better term, it's this naivete when it comes down to that we're just we're somehow gonna have this ecumenical group hug and everybody's just gonna get along. But let's go back to the whole issue, the whole premise that, frankly, there's not going to be peace in the Middle East till the Prince of Peace returns.
You're exactly right. That's exactly the key issue. But there can be a containment of these opposing forces. But there will not be peace until the Prince of Peace comes. You're exactly right.
Well, let's get into the Iran issue, if we may, for a second here, and get your thoughts on that. I've got an article coming out today, a Stratfor Global Intelligence briefing today, that Russia has decreed that they're going to ban transporting S-300 missiles and other equipment to Iran. It says the decree, which implements a UN Security Council resolution, bans combat tanks, armored combat vehicles, combat aircraft, including helicopters, military ships, missiles, large-caliber artillery systems, missile systems, including the S-300, or any equipment related to all of the above, to include spare parts from being transported through Russian territory to Iran, exported from Russia to Iran, or transferred to Iran using sea vessels or aircraft under the Russian flag. Now, I know what the Russians are going to do. They're going to basically sell it to the Chinese, who will then ship it over to Iran. But they've helped them build this nuclear reactor. We've got Ahmadinejad, who's now up here in the United States this week, spewing his vitriol against Israel. What's it going to take? Is Israel going to finally just say, okay, chains are off, fellows, we're coming after you? I mean, what's going to happen there in your estimation?
Well, I think in the mind of the Israeli military, Israeli leadership, there is a line in the sand. They know
what is that line, though? And forgive me for interrupting, but
I don't know. I don't know what that line is, but they know what it is, and they know when Iran crosses that line that their survival is at stake, and they know what that is. Their intelligence is sufficient to know that the threat is such that now they're going to have to do something. They'll have to take them out. I don't think we have the resolve or the will under this administration to do anything. I mean, we can continue to have these sanctions that are meaningless. I mean, Ahmadinejad has said they're meaningless. I think we ought to take the man at his word. but at the same time, Israel cannot afford to do that. Their survivability, their very existence as a people, as a state, is at stake. So I think that the time will come, and only they know when that is. But when that time does come, they do have the capability. We have the capability. This notion that we don't have the armament to take out their nuclear capability I think is not true. It's just not relevant. I think we have it. We have it, and I must believe that Israel has it, and they will use it when they sense that that's their survival is at stake. So I don't know what that is, when that is, but we need to know also I say take Ahmadinejad at his word, because this man believes that he's the John the Baptist, the forerunner of the 12th Imam, which is Islam's Messiah. And he believes that he has to create the catastrophic chaos that is necessary for the 12th Imam to come and make peace.
So basically he has to start Armageddon.
He has to start Armageddon. That's what he thinks. I mean, and he's willing to sacrifice his nation, his people, the whole region, to get this 12th Imam on the scene to bring peace.
Dr. James Hutchins is our guest. He's PhD, president of the Jerusalem Connection, the foremost Christian Zionist online magazine in America. He's also a decorated U.S. Army chaplain. When we come back from the break, we're going to discuss that whole caliphate issue and this 12th Imam that's coming around. Also, we're going to talk about the divisions inside of Islam. And really, is Palestine a country or not? We'll talk about it. 1-800-773-TALK. Stay with us.